What's good, YouTube? You talk to any 2K player out there right now, and they will all agree, for the most part, that defense just ain't happening in this particular iteration of 2K. If you're playing man-to-man defense, you're likely getting ISO'd, ankles broken, and then to boot, dunked on. And that just ain't fun. And so we're going to be going over the basics of running a 2-3 zone so that hopefully you can experience some more success on the defensive end by playing team defense so that no individual is able to be exposed. It's Mr. Hurst, and this is Sim Sports Gaming Network. Welcome to Sim Sports Gaming Network, your place for simulation gameplay and breakdowns. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, tap that like button, hit that notification bell so you'll know when the new content drops. And speaking of new content, I do see the irony, first of all, of me talking about 2K and being a basketball game, but yet here I am rocking my football jersey because for those of you that follow, obviously, being a Tampa Bay fan, I gotta rock my TB12, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's a whole different story. It was a real exciting game. I'm glad to see my team back in there. No, I'm not a bandwagon guy. Born and raised in Florida, from Central Florida, and I've been following since Donald Iwebuike was the biggest reason to cheer for the team. That's right, that was the kicker. What y'all know about that? Anyway. So we are talking about getting into the 2-3 zone. Because right now, like that man-to-man ISO, unless you're one of them top elite tier players, you're going to be exposed. Like, I'm a average player. And I wouldn't even say good. I'm a average player. I'm averaging 13 and almost 7 assists. And so that's average. That's okay. But there's some guys out there that are just goats, just get it done. And, even they struggle on the defensive end right now. So if you're a beginner, man, I can imagine that it just ain't working out for you. So first thing I would suggest that you do is, stop playing with randoms. One thing that I have experienced since starting to play 2K is, granted, winning percentage and everything isn't everything, but if you are out there playing with randoms, chances are you're going to get blown out 95% of the time because you're going to be playing against squads. And even if the squads aren't very good, at least they're organized somewhat, they're communicating. And so for the most part, you're going to get owned. And so that's the first thing, is stop playing with them randoms, man. It's just, unless you're doing specific videos on it just to see what happens, it just ain't going to happen for you. You might be able to get yours, but you're going to take a lot of L's. So, but second of all, so you got to get with a team that is willing to communicate, because it don't do no good to get with a squad but nobody don't ever talk. And that's true for like most of the games out here that we're playing. That's either cooperative or competitive. You need to be able to communicate with your teammates and communicate effectively. So we're going to get into some gameplay footage featuring my Sim squad. We're getting some squad runs in, and we've got some pretty good 2-3 zone going that completely shuts down this other team that we were struggling with playing man, because granted, because we play together all the time, we don't always go to 2-3, but if the man defense isn't getting it done, we switch to that 2-3. And so without further ado, let's get into it and see exactly what we're talking about here. Okay, so here we are at the start of the second quarter. For those of you that are beginners, if you are not aware of the 2-3 zone, this is what the 2-3 zone looks like. As you look at, we are the team in black, and 2-3 zone is recognizable. We've got our two guards here at the top of the key, who are going to cut off penetration into the middle of the lane by the primary primary ball handler. Thinking football, because my Tampa Bay Bucks, but we're not going to get into that right now. But primary ball handler, we want to stop penetration in there. And so we are set up here. The near side guard here is going to be going ball on ball defense, and then the backside guard, who was actually me in this case, is going to play halfway between here and this guy, at least at an angle where I can possibly jump the lane and get a cheap steal and go back down for a cheap bucket. That is always the hope with that. With good teams, you're usually not going to get that because they're not going to throw that pass for the most part. I also have to be prepared to squeeze this area here in case the screen comes here, which I think is going to happen, so that he is able to get a chance to recover. So I have to squeeze and head over this way to cut that off, which means that our backside forward at the bottom is going to have to cheat up in order to take away this #3, just in case that pass is skipped over there and I'm not able to cut it off. If I'm more focused on stopping the penetration into the lane here, since we get the screen here. And so let's go ahead and let this play forward a little bit to see what happens. And so he ends up rejecting the screen and then fights his way back in. So I cheat over, he cheats back. Okay, and we end up playing some pretty good D there. So let's back that up a little bit. And so as you can see, he rejected the screen instead of using it, and he actually does look like he has a little bit of room maybe to sprint to the hash. He might be able to sprint like to this area here, stop and pull up. He chooses not to do that. A good pro player is going to be able to pull that off, but as you can see, he just stops there, fakes him out, and goes back and attacks the middle. So we've got nobody in the corner over here for him to be worried about. So he is indeed going to be more of like a free player. So he's going to be able to help and cut off here along with me in order to protect the attack of the gap, which means our backside player here is going to have to choose to either stay home here, but this guy is on the roll. He's making a rim run. So we need to cut that rim run off. And he's protecting the backside here. Since he's helping, since this guy is, since he's beat, he's going to stay home here, which means he's going to have to come over and stop the rim run from happening. And we move it forward here. That's exactly what happens. And then now that pass is gone. If this guy's a good 3-point shooter, that should be a bucket. We're both recovering. I'm going to try and get on my horse to recover to my guy in the zone. He's going to get on his horse to recover as he is recovered on his man, and he should be dropping back to cut that off. And let's move it forward to see what we get. And as you can see, that's exactly what happens. He is now recovered to his space. He dropped back to take away the inside on the big. He was able to come over here to the ball side because his job is to rotate from ball side to ball side outside of the painted area to protect. And then when the ball comes in the lane, he just kind of squeezes in here. They squeeze in here to stop any plays at the basket, force the ball to be kicked out. And so you can see we recover. He's on ball. I jump the lane here. He's making his way up, so he can see he has turned the wrong way, but he's still in a good position there because if that skip happens, he should be able to get to that. And that's looking pretty good at the moment. And so move it forward. Now, they throw a lob over the top. Throw a lob over the top here. Ends up getting caught. So now this is where we have this squeeze that we're talking about, as he's already turned around to make a play. Okay. Backside should be dropping down to help on that squeeze as well. Let's see what we get. As you can see, they squeeze it down very nicely. That happened so fast, even though I've made my way down there. I'm not going to necessarily be able to do anything with it to make a play. He just went straight up with it. And so we get a good contest regardless. You can see both guys are right here getting a good contest. We're able to get the board and we're down the other way. Good defense turning into almost instant offense. Secondary break, we end up with the 3. Okay, here we have an example of transition defense. After not a very good offensive set, we get the animation on the catch there, driving in. Tried to pass that out, didn't quite work out. They got a rebound, and we're scrambling to get back on D, get a good tip there because we hustled back, and now we're scrambling, and we are actually able to get into our 2-3, dig down, force a 3-second violation. So there are always things that you can do better. So as you can see, we've got into position here. Now, since the ball's over on this side, we should probably be a little bit more in here and maybe even up a little bit. We want to make sure that we're over here on ball side and maybe move up a little bit, maybe right in here, just so we're able to slide over if we need to. We can even go back, be doing this back and forth thing over here. So he could be popping in and then popping back out a little bit, just in case he's looking down here for this guy that may be popping over towards the basket. And he can be squeezing down in a little bit in here, or maybe, matter of fact, he should be forcing his way inside here because that's where we want him to be. And if he comes over, we let him go. So let's see what we end up getting here. Okay, being a little bit undisciplined. However, we still force a bad shot, get a rebound, and we're off and running. Easy pass, easy bucket. Also, back gets set up. When you're able to score like that, now here we go, being a little undisciplined, putting a little pressure on the ball, which sometimes like to do, but because the offense is not very much in sync, we're able to recover. You got to be careful not to get sucked in, though, falling asleep on the backside, because skip passes are pretty popular things for people to throw nowadays. And again, not very good defense, but we're missing the bunny, so it is what it is. So here we are getting set off of the inbound. They decide to throw a skip over. We squeeze down as they go to the low block. We're being aware of the dangerous shooters on the court. As you can see, we're cheating a little bit, knowing these guys aren't very good offensively, so probably not the best idea to kind of abandon your spaces. But then all of a sudden, you know, people start thinking about the fact that, hey, I can get a cheap steal and whatnot, and you just got to stay disciplined because you just can see what happens there. We're playing out of position because we're just trying to get the ball now because we look like we're going on a run and we might blow them out. And you end up with giving up an easy bucket. Got to respect your opponents and stay disciplined if you've got something that's working for you. Another example here of just having good lateral movement and moving together. Everybody's taking care of their spaces. You can see he tries to drive in. We got that closed off. He's forced to skip. Plays a little bit high, force a bad shot. We're able to get the ball off a bad miss. Okay, another weakness of this defense is rebounding. Teams that are really good If you do not box out, we'll get offensive rebounds on you. You can see, because you're not assigned a man, so you have to find somebody to go box out. We get a box out, but of course 2K, you're going to get those long rebounds I go over. And again, they get multiple shots. Good teams make you pay when you can't board the ball. Luckily, we were able to avoid that because they were struggling to hit shots. Now, what you see here is a bit exaggerated, but playing high to low is an okay thing to be doing when you're transitioning to defense and you don't have any offensive players back in this area. So nothing wrong with that at all. But as the play develops, he drops back down to his spot and then digs in. Ball gets rotated. We're in position. But again, that box out is key. If you don't have your box badge up for your bigs, they need to have that thing on Hall of Fame if they can get it there. No, that's a frustration play for the offense. Somebody just throwing it away. We get set up again. We squeeze it down. He's got nowhere to go with the ball. They don't have very good spacing. Do get a good shot off there, but we close out. They're not very focused in right now. We go down for another easy bucket. Like, if you don't know how to run offense against a 2-3 zone, it can be extremely frustrating to play against. I do have a video that I put out. Matter of fact, my very first video was on how to beat the 2-3 zone using a 1-3-1 zone offense, and I'll leave a link for that down in the description below. But it is a very frustrating defense to go against if you do not have an organized team plan in order to keep proper spacing to make that 2-3 zone defense work. And eventually a mistake's going to get made and you're going to end up with open shots. I mean, even in this game, we were making lots of mistakes that a good team would have taken advantage of and made us pay. And we have been in those situations where we've had to actually abandon the 2-3 zone because we weren't playing very disciplined. So hopefully you all got a little something out of that. 2-3 zone is a good defense for beating inexperienced teams that really don't have a lot of basketball IQ due to lack of experience. And so just remember those few key things. One, got to stop playing with randoms. There's lots of different Discord communities out there that you can join. I'm a part of AllCity LiveTV. I'm always going to give a shout out there because it's got great content and it's got a great community, non-toxic, positive vibes only. So I'll include him in the description as well. But find a good group of people to play with, so you don't have to play with randoms, people that you can communicate with and learn the ins and outs of playing defense and playing offense, especially if you're not someone who ever played organized ball. That's really going to help you learn a lot. And make sure you rebound the ball, find somebody to box out, keep your spacing, understand the rotations, and you will have success using the 2-3 zone. Again, if you don't know how to play against a 2-3 zone, check out my video on running a 1-3-1 zone offense, which is designed to beat the 2-3 zone. Just take some practice to get used to it and you can have some success. And so don't forget, subscribe, tap that like button, hit that notification bell so you'll know when new content drops. As always, remember, love God, love people, peace.